Hello, Kansas and Western fans. Time for a mid-poll bi-week update on my work on the Holcomb Power Plant Scene. And as you can see, I've been working on some things I didn't even mention that I would. I don't know how you guys do work on your own layouts, but even if you set out with a plan, surely there's some points at that plan where you're just gazing at different parts of the layout and an idea just strikes. So what I've been doing is working on this little hillside here on this side of the power plant. Originally, I was going to use some rock molds to try to bring out some more detail of this hillside instead of just making it more eroded land or grass-covered hillside. And I decided to make this a kind of a limestone cut. And I know everybody's familiar with driving along the highway and driving through a hillside that's a cut has been made for the highway, so it didn't have to go over the top of the hill. And so I'm trying to reproduce that with varying results, and I'm making a video about my experience of this. As you know, I'm pretty familiar with using joint compound, kind of my favorite material. So I basically slathered some on here and tried to cut some detail into it here with an X-Acto knife with varying degrees of success. But this is something that's a work in progress. I'm making a video about this. Once I'm happy with the results, I'll release that video just to show you how I did that. But that's one area that I'm working on. I'm trying to blend this helix portal into the scene a little better. And even though, you know, this probably 18 inches of space here along the main line is mostly going to be tree covered, I decided to go ahead and work on this anyway, not really knowing how well you're going to be able to see through the trees and just wanting to try to experiment, I guess, with this idea. Now, one thing I have come up with since I've been working on this scene is a better plan for what's going to happen within the plant itself. Now, you know, I've had these 3D fence pieces sitting here for a long time, thinking that I would enclose the whole plant in fencing, and I am going to do that. But I know one of you has suggested what I could do with this roadway that I'm building around the outside of the main line, about how it could be a road that dump trucks use to haul away the ash or whatever material is left over after burning coal. And this is clearly that aspect of the power plant. This kind of dump station, I guess, for the leftovers. So I figured out a way that I could actually use this part of the structure and make it serviceable. So what I'm going to do is create kind of a gravel area here that has access to this unloading bay, access to this garage door here, and technically, I guess, that one, if any parts need to be lifted above. So we're going to make this all gravel. We're going to enclose it with the fence line right at the edge of the hill and make this all gravel. And then we're going to make a driveway, more or less, of gravel between that inner spur and this substation that's going to proceed over in this area. The cooling towers here are just kind of sitting here for now. That's not really part of the plan. Maybe I'll put those over here for now. But then back in this area, you can see where there's an access door for personnel to be able to work inside the plant, and then a garage door, probably also to get in there to access larger parts that need to be worked on. So I'm going to build a parking lot over in this area where it kind of makes sense that there would be one. And just ignore all the trees for now. They're just kind of dumped out of the way. So a parking lot in that area with a road that accesses this road that goes around the power plant, and then a road that accesses that whole part of the plant that will proceed underneath this conveyor system, and then come out here in this area where there'll be a main gate of access to the facility. The fence line will cross over the tracks here at some point, and the fence line will proceed back this way, kind of over this terrain, and then it's going to disappear behind trees. And that's also how I'm going to hide the edge of my coal pile with trees. So probably won't do anything more with that kind of rough edge. I'm just going to hide it with trees. So there you go. That kind of is going to blend that scene, just assuming that coal pile is going to continue on in the distance back there. So anyway, fence line, a gate to access the facility, and then a road is going to cross over this turnout, and then cross over the main line here, and then follow where I've laid this gravel so far for this road that'll proceed around the main line. And then right before the trees take over, which will be, again, starting right about this area, the road will just kind of peel off into the distance off layout. So I'm happy I came up with that plan that really kind of nails down a lot of the details, at least in the midground and foreground. In the background, I think I'm generally just going to build up trees, both in front of where the helix runs, kind of see how they're laying now, and then on top of it. And we're just going to say that the plant is built up amongst the small, or right up against a small hillside, that they just left the trees because they weren't interfering with the construction of the plant. And then hopefully that will continue to just hide, or at least encourage the viewer's eyes not to look back there, because it's just trees. So there's no point to see where this weird portal comes out in western Kansas. Anyway, other work that I've done, continuing to lay dirt between the main line and the spurs in the power plant. I've gotten to right about there. I wanted to get some more work done on this new idea before I went too much further, because I'll be integrating that dirt on the top of this cut, where you can see I haven't done anything with this joint compound. Probably not going to worry about sanding that at all. I'm just going to have the dirt kind of fill in the ridges and the valleys, so it just comes right up to the edge of this rock cut, or these rock cuts. So we'll continue on with that for the next week. Also, you can see here, I've been experimenting with different paints, as several of you have mentioned. I try working on different color choices, looks. Not really happy with anything yet. I think it might be easier, for me at least, to go ahead and lay the grass on the flat areas, especially between where the gullies are, the little erosion channels, and then come back and figure out colors and things of that nature once the grass is in place, because then I'll know exactly what needs to be painted, what's left of those channels that the grass is eroded away from. So looking for suggestions there, any attaboys. I'm not looking for positive feedback, and more looking for, what area of this area is looking like how you think it should, I guess. I was going to have a picture printed up of what I'm trying to accomplish here, but I was having trouble finding anything online that represents what I have in my head. So it could be a mystery on this one, so we'll see how that turns out. I've continued on laying the gravel here for this roadway. I've got this section glued. I got to come back and do a little bit more. I want to do some tire channels. It's kind of a single lane road, so it'll just be a parallel set of tire channels where tires have grounded that gravel down to dust. Got some ideas of how I'm going to do that. And then you can see here, I've got my first section of static grass, which didn't work out very well, and I think I know why. I think I mistakenly used the grounding device, whatever it's called, that has the 4 feet that comes with the Woodland Scenics static grass applicator, and it just doesn't work very well. I'm going to start using T-pins for the rest of this. I've heard other people have better success with those, plus they're not just a huge mass sitting on top of the area you're trying to apply grass. So not very happy with these results, but I will keep at it and see if I can improve. And then I've got all my my transmission towers built. I think 3 is going to be plenty. You can see where I've installed a platform here and leveled it, so that will sit right. And then Alan Mady sent me this line that I was talking about, and it's called Easy Line from Berkshire Junction. Never heard of these guys, so I like being introduced to companies I never heard of all the time. And then this stuff I would compare to pretty fine fishing line. You can see there. So I think it might actually work if I can drill out the ends of these insulators, because you can see there maybe where there's just a little bit of an impression at the end of those insulators that might be able to be drilled out. So with any luck, I could feed this line right through the insulators, which would work the best. So not sure. He was really hesitant to try this because obviously it looks like a lot of work. So he sent that to me to let me give a shot at it. It's not something I'm going to do anytime soon. Obviously, I want to have all the rest of the scenery in this scene done. I don't want to have to be working around these lines that'll be hanging in the way. So that's going to be the last step for this scene. And I do plan to tie those into the substation. Another one of you had asked if I'm going to tie the substation into the plant, which makes sense. I need to try to find some photos of how that works. I'm not sure where they would attach to the transformer here, if any of those cables are buried. I just need to learn more about how this aspect of the power plant works before I start attaching lines to things. And again, that would be a final step. And I still have a lot of weathering to do to this building. This has just got a basic paint job. The roofs aren't even attached yet because I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to light this thing. which is a perfect segue to what I want to work on next. And this next week, before the next poll, I want to focus as much on lighting as I can. I've got a lot of ideas about what I want to do. The main structure has windows, so I want to put some interior lighting in that, as well as this transfer house has some windows, so we're going to put some lighting in there. Most substations you see around the country are very well lit, so I'm going to put some street lights on the four corners of this thing, and I'm also thinking about putting some spotlights, because there are spotlights in those as well that will focus on the major components. So probably these transformers or whatever those things are called, capacitors, I'm not sure, and the transformer. So there'll be a lot of light in this scene I'm excited about. For the unloading bay, I'm going to add some wall mount lights. I think that will stick over there and kind of point light back under there. And then here on the spurs themselves, you've got an unloading bay for coal. We're going to have a light that hangs out over there, probably on this side of the tracks, so workers can see what they're doing when they're opening those chutes at the bottom. And then also with the way my railroad runs and the way they switch the trains to unload the coal, I'm going to probably put a light here at the end of track devices, just so when they're backing the trains, they can see where that end of track is at night, so they won't obviously go too far. So lots of ideas, which, hey, I'm good at talking about all kinds of ideas, but it's a whole nother thing to make these things work. So we'll see what I can get done here in the next week. Just wanted to give you guys an update as to how things are progressing, and we'll keep on keeping on. So thanks everybody for watching, and especially for your comments that are definitely leading to some great ideas. So keep those coming for sure. So everybody have a great weekend. We will see you in a week.